Welcome everybody to WagerTalk Today. It is Football Friday. We're going to look at the New Orleans Tampa Bay game, the Detroit Dallas game. The world is screaming for Devante Parker props. We got those for you. I'm Lawrence Presman. Teddy covers my co-host. Andy Lang, Gianni, and Art DiCesare, our guests. We begin with the wonderful Andy Lang. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great. Yeah, calm down, people. We will get to the Devante Parker props. Man, just my email's been blowing up and messages
Andy,
all morning. Like, please give us that Devante Parker prop. We got you.
Andy, I think they're screaming for the Durham Smith prop.
Smythe.
Smythe. So last Friday I had a bad pronunciation day. Okay, Teddy, get some info out of this man.
Well, we've hyped it up. We got to talk about Devante Parker, the Patriots wideout, as he travels to Buffalo this week. What are we going to do with Mr. Parker? His over-under receiving yards, 36.5, the prevailing number, Mr. Lang. How are we going to bet him, over or under?
Oh, we're definitely taking Devante Parker over 36.5 receiving. I think this is a really good spot for him against the Buffalo Bills. The last 4 weeks, this is a very quiet, under-the-radar receiver that's been going over his number. 65, 44, 64, and 42 the last 4 weeks. Bailey Zappi is targeting him a lot. This is a guy that has 19 targets the last 3 weeks. Anytime you're getting a receiver at a low receiving number and he's getting 19 targets over 3 weeks, that has my attention. And we look at the Buffalo Bills. The last 3 teams to play Buffalo have had 2 receivers go over this total. So the game script, I would find it hard to believe where this is a game script where the Patriots are out in front trying to run out the clock. I think the Patriots are going to have to throw the ball at some point. And Devante Parker at 36.5, I'm not sure the books have caught on to this number, especially those targets. So I will gladly take Devante Parker over his receiving this week.
So it looks like we're going to have weather in Buffalo on Sunday. I'm seeing a mix of rain and snow and all kinds of other. What's that, Lawrence?
Like weather? That's amazing.
Yes.
I'm going out on a limb and say there will be weather everywhere this Sunday.
There will not. There will not be weather in any of the domes. And there will be meaningful weather in Buffalo. It's not good for passing, in theory, weather in Buffalo. Does that concern you? Is that why this total is as low as it is?
It might be. I don't think the weather, the source I trust, it says rain or snow possible at the moment, not expecting anything too heavy or too widespread. The temperatures are near freezing, but I don't see anything really below freezing. So I'm not sure we're going to get kind of the frozen type of surface. And sometimes this bad weather helps the offense. It can be tough for some of the defenders to make cuts and keep up with the wide receivers. I don't normally pay attention to weather unless it's really, really bad. It affects both sides of the ball. So I'm perfectly fine with the weather situation as is. I like this low number. I just love all the targets that he's getting.
Speaking of weather in Buffalo, yesterday I got invited to go to the Buffalo Patriots game on Sunday. I've never been to a Buffalo game. I've only been to one football game in my life. It was Miami, Joe Robbie Stadium, back when it was called that. Couldn't see a damn thing, and I had good seats. Vowed I'd never go to a football game again. So I get invited yesterday to the New England Patriots Buffalo game, and I'm like, hell no. I'm not sitting in freezing cold, shit-ass weather watching a game on a big screen because I can't see a damn thing on the field. So I turned those tickets down. Austin Badzik, never seen your name, my friend. Thank you for logging into the chat. He writes, Prez is the GOAT. Austin, I'm close. I wouldn't call me the GOAT, but I'm very, very close. Appreciate your kind words. Speaking of GOAT, Andy Lang, rolling, man. 2023, what a shame it's coming to an end for you. huge profits for your clients. Congratulations. And on a really, really nice NFL run as well. Way to go, dude. I love when you're seeing it well. 35-15 NFL run. Outstanding work. You got a 5% play up this weekend.
Yeah, it really has been a great year. We're going to end the year around 112 units profit for everybody. And yeah, we started off NFL really slow, slowed down in the middle, and now we've really taken off. Like you said, 35-15, we got a 5% play up. We did not have a 5% last week. Wasn't real happy with the slate, but we love the slate this week. So you can grab that 5% play, and it includes all of the NFL plays that we will have for this weekend. Or if you want a 7-day pass, the promo code HOLIDAY7 is still active. Holiday 7 gets 7 days, $30 discount on checkout. It takes the price from $99 down to $69. Might as well use that instead of just paying for one pack. NHL, we're on a 6-0 run. We have a play up there. Nice little run in soccer. Darts, the World Championship of Darts is still going on. We're really happy with the results there. So no need to get the 5%. Just use a 7-day pass. Promo code HOLIDAY7 at AndyLangWagerTalk.com.
Nicely done. Fernando Mendoza, I haven't seen your name. Welcome to the chat room. Martel Duval, you as well. Coom, nice to see you. Happy New Year, Coom. Andy Lang, we got 2 more prop bets coming. Let's go through them both. And then Teddy, if he has a follow-up, well, he'll drive you nuts with that follow-up. Kenneth Gainwell, Durham Smythe, fill us in.
Well, Kenneth Gainwell is getting probably the best matchup in the NFL, and this is fading the Arizona Cardinals rush defense. They are absolutely horrific. They've given up 170 yards per game the last 3 games. There's injuries, there's game scripts, just everything is going against this rush defense. And last week when the Eagles played the Giants, this is a Giants team that is also struggling against the rush. I talked about you could probably take DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Gainwell over their rushing. And sure enough, they both hit. I think they could do the same here. So I'll just take Gainwell, who's got the lower total. It's over 21.5. So last week against Arizona, Khalil Herbert rushed for 112 yards. Justin Fields, 97. Christian McCaffrey went for 115 yards against them. And the Rams, Kyron Williams had 143 yards rushing. And in the same game, Royce Freeman had 77 yards rushing in the same game. They're getting obliterated on the ground. And if you're a same game parlay better, you can actually same game parlay Swift over 67.5 and Gainwell over 21.5 to get a plus 222. Nice little payout. But for these purposes, I'll take Gainwell. I love the low total. I think the Eagles run the ball as much as they possibly can in this game. Durham Smythe.
Okay, yeah, Teddy, what? Teddy's got one now. Let him go.
No, I was just going to ask him about Durham Smythe.
Oh,
let's go.
Okay, well, I love the Gainwell prop, Andy. Arizona, I think they have the worst run D in all of football.
Oh, they're terrible. Just take
like 147 rush yards against them on average a game. I mean, love that bet, Andy. Okay, shut up, Prez. Smythe.
Yeah, Smythe, very low total, 18.5 receiving, and I will gladly take this one. The last 2 weeks, Smythe is another under-the-radar guy. 4 catches for 32 yards and 5 for 56 against the Jets and the Cowboys. It looks like Jalen Waddle is going to be out, which means there's targets. Guys are going to have to absorb some of these targets. And the Ravens, not great against tight ends. They allow 47 yards receiving per game to tight ends. This is a game script I don't expect Miami to be ahead, where they're trying to run out the clock against this Baltimore Ravens team on the road. Very, very low total. Smythe can get there with 1 catch. 2 catches, I expect him to get there. But you look at these catches that he's had, 4 catches and 5 catches the last weeks with Waddle banged up. Even if Waddle plays, I don't think he's going to be nearly 100%. So take Durham Smythe, sneaky under the radar play.
Let's talk about Kenneth Gainwell for a minute. In particular, his lack of touches. The most carries he's had since 2 weeks before Halloween is the 6 that he got last week. Do we worry that Gainwell's just not going to get the touches?
He's been consistently going over this total. 6 for 41, 6 for 21 against Seattle. It's a decent rush defense and 4 for 28 against Dallas. He doesn't need a bunch of touches. You know, Swift is a little bit more of the volume guy. Gainwell is a little bit more of the change of pace. He had a long rush of 22 last week, 8 before that, 11 before that. So all he needs is one of these longer carries, and he's going to get almost halfway, you know, maybe even 2/3 or 3/4 of the way there. So, no, the lack of touches doesn't really worry me. And if you look at his touches, they've gone up. You know, 2 against San Francisco, 4 carries against Dallas, 6 against Seattle, 6 against the Giants. And if there's ever a game where he's going to get more than 6, it's going to be this one if they're up in the second half and Swift kind of maybe reaches his, you know, big amount of carries and they don't want him to get any more. So I know the lack of touches is a little bit glaring, but he's been getting there, and I expect him to get his full workload this week.
Andy Lang, awesome, brother. Love having you on. You've promoted. I have one last thing to discuss with you, and that is I just finished the show Brawn on Amazon Prime. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I have not watched Brawn. I'm going through a couple of movies, finishing up Rebel Moon on Netflix, but I will add Brawn
medium.
to the... Yeah, it's okay. It's not great.
It is a total freaking ripoff of the Seven Samurai and Battle of the Stars. I mean, Zack Snyder literally rewrote the same movie. Anyway, Brawn is incredible, Andy. You'll love it. It's the story of the F1 team Brawn. It's 4 episodes. I think Keanu Reeves did it. It's really great. Thanks for being with us, my brother. Teddy covers. We got Gianni the Greek coming up after your What Did Bettors Learn? Art DiCesare at the end of the show. If we get to how many likes? Well, we'll go with 100. It's holiday season. 100 likes. We'll do a daily presidential address, which I will give out at least 2 NHL bets and 2 NFL bets. So, guys, please hit that like button. George Wood, you are a smart man. Well said in the chat room. Theodore, I'm looking forward to your What Did Bettors Learn?
So I talk about my worst betting experience probably once or twice a year. It came this very weekend. It was New Year's weekend. And it was back in 1995 going into 1996. So it's not something I learned last night, but something I was thinking about last night for sure. And of course, at the time, I was living in Michigan. There's no legal sports books there. I was betting on credit with a bookie. And I had a bad end to the NFL regular season. I had a bad run through bowl season. And this, for me, in 1995, was my double or nothing weekend. And of course, I lost them all. And it culminated with betting on Florida in the national championship game, a game where Nebraska blew them out. Lawrence Phillips ran wild. It was over by halftime. I learned a lesson from that weekend that I've never forgotten. It was the biggest gambling low, or certainly one of the biggest gambling lows I ever had. I stopped betting after that for a while. It took several months for me to pay off my bookie. I was eating ramen noodles. It sucked. When I started betting again the next year for football, I put together a plan. And I stuck to the plan. And I've been betting full-time essentially ever since. We're all going to have runs. We're all going to have good runs. We're all going to have rough runs. How you respond is key. Double or nothing when you're not seeing things clearly. Upping your wager sizes when you're ice cold. Amateur mistakes. I made them. I don't make them anymore, usually. And that's a key lesson to remember this weekend. When you're seeing things clearly, up it. If you're not, double or nothing is always the wrong choice. Lawrence?
Yeah, I've never done a double or nothing in my life. So I'm with you, Teddy. And I mean, we've all had those terrible periods. I had a crappy night last night, bro. I mean, I was on Miami in the college football game. That didn't go well. I did win my Arizona play, but I went 1-4 for my clients, and I did not take it well. And I apologize to all of them. It just kills me. Anyway, the great Gianni joining us now. My brother, my friend. I've enjoyed your Twitters, your tweets, your X's about when you went back to see your childhood home. It really had this celebrity feel to it, bro.
It was so surreal, man. I honestly urge everyone to do that. If they've come from somewhere where their world is very different than it was at one point. For me, honestly, like I was crying. I sat on those steps and I was crying. It was just so different. Going back just made everything so real. You got to remember, I've been in Vegas for 25 years, but I spent the first half of my life in Philadelphia. But it's like you forget so much, and then when you go back and you're actually like surrounded by it, just so much comes back, man. It puts so much in perspective. The best trip I've ever taken by far, mindset wise. Really good, really good.
Nice. Gianni, let's get to it, brother. New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay. This is a massive game for both teams. New Orleans loses, they're out. Tampa Bay wins, and it looks like they will go to the playoffs. How do we bet this game?
I don't make it a secret. I trade 5 different factors, and what I look for are extremes. I day trade extremes in equities and commodities and crypto in the morning, and then I look for extremes in sports. And this is one of those extremes, and here's what I mean. You have 2 teams that look similar, meaning one team only has 1 more win than the other. They're in the same division. But as a bettor, they've had 2 completely different years. Tampa Bay's outperformed the betting market, covering the spread 67% of the time. New Orleans has underperformed the betting market 4-10-1 against the spread. And I think this is one of those spots where the correction is evident, because you look at the series, New Orleans is 6-4 over their last 10. But you look at the recency bias heading into this game, you have Tampa Bay, they won 4 straight, 3 straight against the spread. And you look at the Saints, they're coming off a loss. But what I like to do is, when in doubt, zoom out. And when I zoom out, what do I see? I see a Tampa Bay team that's actually just 5-5 over their last 10. I don't want to be laying points with a 500 team. I want to be taking points in that spot. And even when I compare that first game line, we have that first game, forget how it ended or the result. Look at the betting line. The adjustment is, I think, a little bit too much. I'm taking the Saints on the money line because the +2.5 just doesn't help you. There's more EV in taking the +120 that's available. In fact, if you could get better than +109, 108, it's better than taking +2.5, because that's what +2.5's worth. It's only worth $1.08 on the money line. So for me, I'm going to take the Saints, going to take the +120, and I think we have a good bet there.
So you talked about zooming out a little bit when we're trying to look at these 2 teams. And when I zoom out on New Orleans, I see a team that since the middle of October, they've got 2 wins. Carolina and the Giants, 2 of the worst teams in football. Is New Orleans capable? I understand that, maybe from a value standpoint, there's some value on the New Orleans side, but is this team good enough to beat anyone but a bottom feeder? Because that's the only team they've beaten for the last 2 months.
4-4 over their last 8. I mean, it's a 500 team. Again, I'm not going to look to lay points with the Saints, but you give me a 500 team that's getting points, I'm not going to be afraid to back them, especially since I don't see the Tampa Bay as any type of real, world beaters. For my subscribers, we're in a good spot. We have both these teams on futures at 100-1. So one of these teams is going to win this division, get to the playoffs, and with all that equity, we're going to be able to make some money off of that future. But this is a spot where, again, I just think getting plus money on an ultimate coin flip is what I'm looking to get. And I just don't really see where Tampa Bay should be favored over the Saints. Again, we do have that first game where they won in New Orleans, and I think that's why we're looking at that overreaction. But let's not forget, Saints were 4.5-point favorites. They closed in that game at home. Now we're looking at a 2.5-point spread for Tampa. To me, that's telling. You're not a 3-point favorite at home. Again, I like the read into lines, and that to me stuck out a little bit as well. You're not at 3. You're sitting at that 2.5. I pay attention to those, around those key numbers.
Gianni, before we move on to the Dallas-Detroit game, Fortinaut, who is really one of our most loyal listeners, these guys who log in every single day, It's so meaningful to me and to Wager Talk. He writes, even after the PAT being moved back with more random numerical outcomes, 2.5 still only equates to plus 108. That doesn't feel right. Do you want to elaborate on that? Because I think that that's an incredibly interesting point. And to me, better shows what I think makes Wager Talk Today the best sports betting show on the planet isn't just the daily info we give out. It's the lessons and the contextual or conceptual information that we give out. So please talk about that -2.5, and maybe if you can tell us what -3.5 and -6.5. I mean, man, way better discussion than whether you like the over or the under on one particular game.
Well, if you've been a subscriber of mine, you get that with most picks that are around that number. I send them what the spread is and what the true money line should be. And a lot of times we're taking that money line because it's more advantageous. If you've been in the steam room, you've also seen that a lot, where I'll see a -2.5, a -3. And based on the numbers my quant gives me, if I could lay -145 when it should be -155, I'm going to lay that instead of laying the 3 at -110. So as far as answering that gentleman's question, I can only tell you is what the quants that I pay share with me. This is not proprietary work of mine. I can tell you what every half is worth based on the information that I pay for. We could do that now. If you want, I could pull that up. I could tell you what every half point is worth in every major sport from sides and totals. And the bottom line is that's just what it is right now. I mean, I can't defend it or argue it. It's just fact that as of 12/29/2023, +2.5 in the NFL is only worth +108. If you could draw up the math to prove my quant is wrong, I'll pay you that money that I pay him. Again, I'm not coming off like negative. I'm just being honest. Like, I trust these guys because I've made money every single year because of this information, knowing what each half point is worth. So I make sure going into every season, I have exactly what every half point is worth. And on top of it, every 4 weeks, they have to send me adjustments. That's what I pay for. So if I'm getting robbed, please let me know. But again, I could pull up every single major sport and tell you what every half point is worth on a side and a total, and to know whether you should be taking the points or the money line. Because a lot of times we think, oh, I'm going to lay -5 at -110. But I'm just picking an arbitrary number. -5 may only be -170, and you have money lines of -165. Well, guess what? My subscribers are going to lay -165 on the money line, not -5, -110, because 165 is a better number if we know that -5 equates to -170. Yeah. So again, I'm strictly going off charts that men smarter than me create for me to then be able to use that and trade with it. I'm a great trader. That's what I do. I let other parts of my team do their jobs, and I trust in their numbers.
Dan Alexander. Gianni, next Friday, let's roll up our sleeves and go into some of that information rather than just only doing the individual games.
I'd love
because,
it.
That stuff is really
please,
good.
Real quick, Steam Room's free this week. Come to the Steam Room this week. You will see me do it for every game. I will tell you what the true odds are based on the money line. We do it through every single game so we could conclude whether the money line's the better bet or the points are. If anyone's looking right now, Robert Morris under 153.5 just came across. Check your line screens. That will move within the next 5 minutes under in Robert Morris. I got a ton of college basketball. It's too much stuff, so I'm just going to take a picture and put it out on Twitter after this segment like I did a week ago, I think. So, yeah, we could keep going, brother. Sorry. Just wanted to share that actionable information on the under in college basketball.
Talk about that steam room for a moment, Gianni, before we get to our next game. We're going to talk about the Cowboys and the Lions coming up next. But obviously, the steam room, a big part of what you offer to your clients every single week.
Yeah, and Gianni,
Absolutely.
wait one sec.
I love it.
Gianni, one of our
Yes,
listeners,
sir.
Martel, asked, where can we watch the steam room? So include that.
Oh, the link, the WagerTalk put out the link. Just go to WagerTalk's Twitter, go to my Twitter at Greek_Gambler. I also have the link. All you got to do is click that. You'll be right in that room on Sunday, baby. We are live at 11 a.m. Eastern. We go all the way up to kickoff.
Well, let's
Teddy?
talk about the Cowboys and the Lions then.
All right.
Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Dallas, I'm seeing 5.5s and 5s down from 6, total 52 pretty much across the board. We have seen some under money over the last few hours. What are we going to do with the Cowboys and the Lions?
We are going to bet the under, not with one hand, but with both fists. We're going to unload on this under because we got another extreme coupled with getting dummied up a little bit all the way to 53. That's when the real move came in on the under. Let's look at this. We have, again, some extremes. We have Detroit team. You think they're an over team? Of course, they've gone over 5 of their last 6. But let's dig a little deeper. They've had 0 totals. 0, that's correct. 0 totals over their last 10 games have closed above 48. We're looking at 53 right now. Look at Dallas. Over their last 10 games, only 1 total has closed above 49.5. Again, we're looking at 53 right now. That's an extreme. We like to bet extremes. Then we look at these two teams. How are they coming into this game? All the focus is on the offense. Why? That's what the data reflects is strong. Number 2 offensive success rate for Detroit. Number 5 offensive success rate for Dallas. And then you look on the defensive side of the ball, both of these teams are in the bottom half defensively. So what does that automatically think? Points, points, points. Well, guess what? The number becomes the great equalizer. And all of that is already baked into the cake. At 47, 48, yes, you look towards over. Once you get up to those 52s, 53s where this line was, and we got the value on the under. This is just the perfect storm where you have recency bias coupled with an overreaction of a Detroit team coming in with a ton of overs, even though none of their lines were as high as this one. And I just think this is another correction of the market that is going to burn a lot of bettors. Again, this game could go over, but there's no chance this should be 53. This is a huge jump for both these teams as far as expected points from the betting market. We're expecting more from these two teams than we have over the last 2.5 months. And I just don't think that's warranted. Under 134.5 St. Mary's, that just came across my screen. If you look at the WagerTalk odds screen, that should light up within the next 5 minutes as well. I'm going to have to bet that when I get off this call. Hopefully we have still enough of those numbers available. So yeah, under Detroit, Dallas, I think we'll get you to the window 2 times. One to bet it, one to cash it on Saturday.
Gianni the Greek, everyone. What a segment, Teddy. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, the two of us are considered geniuses. I don't know if we're considered geniuses when we're around that man. Anyway, Gianni the Greek, everyone. Make sure to jump into his steam room. That sounds terrible. That didn't come out right, but you all know what I mean. Theodore, I'm golfing today, indoors. I'm very excited about that. I know you don't give a rat's ass. So, my brother, tell us your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown time right now, and these odds are moving as we speak. So let me find out why that just happened in the last 5 minutes. And of course, my earbud fell out too. Lots of injuries for Orlando. We're going to talk about the Orlando Magic and the New York Knickerbockers tonight. Right now, the WagerTalk live odds screen has Knicks -1. There's a -1.5 popping up. Total anywhere between 227 and 228. Magic 11-4 straight up, 10-4-1 ATS at home. They've been a good home team. The Knicks are 9-9 straight up on the highway. They've been a good road team. The first meeting this year, Knicks won 2 out of 3 last season. Both of these teams coming off a loss. The Knicks off a loss at OKC. They allowed 129 points on 54% shooting in that ball game. And that's kind of continued a trend where the Knicks have had some struggles on the defensive end. The Bucks had 122 and 130 against them. The Clips scored 144 against them. No Mitchell Robinson has certainly hurt their low post defense. That said, Knicks off a loss. They have 12 previous losses prior to OKC. 10-2 straight up, 9-2-1 against the spread. Want to fade the Knicks off a loss. Orlando, too, has been great off a loss the last 2 years. Made a small fortune betting on the Magic off a loss last year. Over and over again, they covered. Now, this year, 6-5 straight up, 7-4 ATS off a loss. So they're still showing money. And, of course, they got blown out by Philly with no Embiid in their last game. From a side standpoint, I can make a case for both these teams. But I think the better case to be made here is for the total. Series history. 111-106, 102-98, 115-102, 118-88, 104-98, 110-104, 121-96, 94-93, 107-89, 91-84. There's not one of those in the last 10 meetings that came close to going over 227/228. We have two defensive-minded head coaches, both teams coming off a loss. Nobody's pushing pace here. Yeah, we'll take the under Knicks and Magic, even with the injuries for Orlando. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. We are waiting for Art DiCesare. So what we'll do now is go to the daily presidential address first. Oh, he'll be ready in a second. Scrap that idea. Good. That gives us more time to talk about important stuff. So how are you, Teddy?
All right. Well, reminder, we have no show on Monday, New Year's Day. Lawrence and I was willing to do it.
Thank you. I'm ready to go. Wow. New Year's Day. New Year's Day.
Yeah. Much like Christmas, we don't want to ask the staff to come in and, all the guys that put together the graphics who we love, all the guys that work behind the scenes. We talk about Dan Alexander every day and how much he does for us. So the bottom line is Monday, like last Monday, no show. And that'll be it. There'll be a show pretty much every weekday moving forward after that.
Man, I'm on the under in this Clemson-Kentucky game or client release. It was 3-0 about 1 minute ago. Not 3-0 anymore, Theodore. 7-3. But hey, we're kind of still on pace. I'm not freaking out. I'm not freaking out. Art DiCesare joining us. My man. We love you, Art. What's up, brother?
What's up, fellas? Pleasure to be here as always, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, dude. Happy holidays. Has the merch shown up yet?
Yes.
And?
It's phenomenal, as always. I mean,
Okay.
It's what do they say? I would expect nothing less from WagerTalk. Tip top, number one, the best of the best.
I was blown away at the t-shirt quality. Because like I said this last week, I have no say in it. You pick a vendor and they send it out. And I actually couldn't believe how good the t-shirt quality is. Guys, check out that website, wagermerch.com. Starting in the new year, I'm going to push the shit out of that website. So get ready for that. We've ironed out all the kinks. There's some great stuff up there, including Teddy's famous quote, "If I'm playing, I'm laying." So, with that said, Art DiCesare, let's start with, well, you know what? I'll just hand the mic over to Teddy. He's better at this than I am.
He's finally realized.
Talk.
Yeah, exactly. Let the grown-ups talk. All right, so let's start with this. New Year's weekend. Are you behind the counter all night on Friday and then first on Sunday and then first thing on Monday morning again? What's it like when it comes to a full NFL day and then the New Year's Day with all the college football the next day in the sports book in Las Vegas?
Well, obviously it's a busy weekend, a busy week, because New Year's Eve is one of, the 3 or 4 most, busy times in Vegas, obviously. For me, I'm a little bit luckier. I'm not obviously behind the counter. I'm sitting in a risk room. So, I'm still in the building, but I'm not kind of, walking the line and seeing all the madness. But listen, with the NFL, with the college games, we will have a very busy in-house, kind of counter action, which is always good. Listen, we do, 70+% of our bets are on the mobile now, but it's really nice when you get the counter action and you get people in the book, sitting in the book, having a good time. That's always positive.
70% of your action on the mobile app now. That's an interesting number. It certainly wasn't that way just a few years ago. So it shows the times they are a-changing as the calendar is getting ready to change to 2024. Well, let's talk about some of the action you're seeing this week. And I want to start with the college bowl games. Obviously, we teased it last week. Bowls on center stage this weekend. We got action all day today, all day tomorrow, and then, of course, the big games on Monday. Tell me, who do the pros like? Who do the Joes like? And is anyone that Art DiCesare likes over the course of the next few days in college bowl action?
Sure, absolutely. As far as the bowls go, Public took the over in the Ole Miss Penn State game, looking for points in that game. Laid the number with Auburn, laid the 6. They're late to the game. That was 3 at one point. Obviously, Tua's brother got ruled out of the game, the Maryland quarterback. So the Public missed the best number there, but they're still laying the 6 with Auburn. Couple of sharp plays. Took Iowa State minus 9.5 against Memphis. We've moved that to 10.5. One game that took early sharp money, and then Notre Dame had just a slew of just opt-outs and all the things that they had going, especially their quarterback and their top lineman, who's going to be a top 10 pick. A lot of money came in on Oregon State at plus 11, plus 10, plus 10.5. We're now down to 5. Oregon State will be one of our bigger decisions as far as the bowls go. It really, we took a lot of money early, continue to take money. Nobody wants to bet Notre Dame. I mean, they just don't. There's nothing that's going to stop this Notre Dame, non-betting train. They don't want to take it. And then you got to talk about the 2 big bowl games. Obviously, the playoff games. Michigan minus 2. We've seen really good split action on the game. We've seen money on both sides of the game. This game for us right now, it's pretty much a toss-up. Really no decision for us. Maybe a little bit more money on Michigan, but nothing crazy. Texas and Washington. Texas minus 4. We're going to need Washington in the game. The money has come in on Texas. Really hasn't been a move. It was kind of from 3.5 to 4. And then really the sharp money's coming on the under. 64.5 now to 63.5. And if you need a college play, I like the Music City Bowl on Saturday, taking the over with Auburn and Maryland. Still 47.5s out there. So I like the over in the game.
Even with Maryland without their starting QB, Art DiCesare says, expect points in bunches. The offense isn't going to change all that much. Let's talk a little NFL for Week 17. Prez wanted to ask you, but I shrugged him off.
Yeah, he literally no, Prez. Yeah. You ask the worst questions ever, Prez.
He just doesn't ask
Big
it the
play
right way.
In this Clemson game now on my under. Oh,
yeah, sweat out your games.
Prez,
this is not a live betting show.
Text me on the side. I'll answer your question.
Oh, thanks, Art. That's so nice of you. Okay, well, again, I'll kick back and let the grown-ups talk.
15 games in NFL Week 17 on tap for Saturday and Sunday. What are you seeing in the betting markets? Again, who do the pros like? What games on all the parlay cards that the Joes like? And anyone Arthur DiCesare stands out as a particularly good wager this weekend.
So NFL, obviously a big, Week 17, a lot of kind of mini playoff games, a lot of games of importance. Public's on the Bucks. They're laying 2.5 with Tampa. They look at Tampa and they figure, hey, it's at home. It's under a field goal. This is the team. A lot of times the public looks at like, hey, this is the must-win game. They need to win this game. They win, they're in. Public likes to bet those scenarios a lot. Public's also laying 3 with the Ravens. It's now 3 minus 120. We haven't had a sharp group for us come in on either side. I don't know if we'll ever get to 3.5. I think we'll just play with the juice unless someone really comes in and takes a position on one of the sides. So for us right now, it's Public's. Public is on the Ravens. I know Gianni talked about that Cowboy-Lion game. Our initial move was over money, sharp money at 51. Got as high as 53. We have seen the sharp money come back on the buyback on the under. We're at 52.5. We haven't gone down to the 52 yet. Eventually, we probably will because that's where the market is going. Haven't gotten there yet. Sharps are also on Atlanta. Took +3, now 2.5, even money. They just figure, hey, it's a number. It's Atlanta on the road. I get it. But they're playing the Bears, who aren't that great. They can win the game. They'll take the 3 points. And the Sharps also took under 38.5 in the Bronco-Charger game. 2 backup quarterbacks, probably figuring it's going to be a low kind of slugfest game. Under 38.5, moved to under now 36.5. And I'm going to take a weird one. I think the Commanders +13 is worth a look. I think San Francisco having to go on the road. I understand it's coming off a bad loss, but you now have to lay 2 touchdowns on the road to a really bad team. I understand that. They have a ton of injuries. It feels like they just want to get out of there with a win between 7 and 10 points. So I like the Commanders +13.
So, Art, your actual pick is the Commanders +13. Anything else that jumps out at you?
As far as the NFL card goes?
Yeah.
No, I'll say this. I think, Teddy had asked about kind of like teasers and everything. Kansas City's going to be very popular in the teasers and the money lines this week. And they are coming off a loss, coming off as bad as you can look. They're right in that sweet spot of 7. Everyone is going to tease them to 1, or tease them to pick, no matter how, depending on what they play on their teasers, whether it's 6 or 7. And obviously Kansas City is going to be in all money lines. And all the big ones are. The Eagles, the Bills, they're all going to be. If we can ever get one of those touchdown favorites to lose outright, it's always a positive for us. Whether it's San Francisco, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the Bills, or whether it's the Chiefs.
Well, on behalf of everybody who watches this show, we're not cheering for you, Art. Anyway, NHL. Anything you've got for us? It's a nice card tonight, a big card tomorrow. Any bets that you've seen taken that we should know about?
Absolutely. Florida at home against my beloved Rangers. Numbers moved 20 cents, opening a 125. Now Panthers minus $1.45. So you've seen the sharp money come in there. And Publix on the Kraken tonight. Kraken at home. Flyers
I love
are on
that play.
Yeah, Crackers, Kraken, and then obviously Flyers on a back-to-back. So, you haven't seen really a move there. It's been maybe a 5-cent move, but that is public money that has come in on the Kraken.
Teddy?
And before we let you go, Art, I do want to talk a little bit of hoops with you. And we're seeing, there's an 0-13 team that was laying 2.5 points and is down by 21 before halftime right now to start the game in college basketball. I don't know who was betting Detroit and why, but they can't be enjoying this first half. What stands out when it comes to the action you're taking in college basketball right now? Any games or teams that are drawing particular attention?
Sure, Teddy. I'll give you 2 in the NBA and 2 in college. College, you got 2 totals. Illinois State and Kentucky open 147. We're all the way up now to 149.5. Same thing with Colorado and Washington. Opener 154.5. Sharps bet to the over, now 157. So 2 good over moves there on the college hoops slate. NBA, Sharps took the Raptors +9. Moved down to 8. They're playing Boston. Boston's on a back-to-back. Usually don't want to bet against Boston because that's not been a way to go this year. But they took the number with the Raptors at +9. And then over money in the Denver OKC game. Over 234, now 236 as far as the over money that came in today. Both those NBA plays are sharp as well.
Art DiCesare, thank you, my brother. Art, have just an incredible holiday, a week, a happy new year. What do you got to promote, my brother?
As always, gentlemen, Westgate, come down, check us out. Listen, it's going to be a wonderful, end of the new year and then go into the new year with all the stuff going on, especially as we ramp up with all these big football games and obviously the 2 big bowl, the playoff games and then the championship. And listen, as always, anyone who comes down to the Westgate, if you want any information or anything, any help, come ask for me. If I'm there, I'll help you. I've been off the last couple of days, but now I'm off my vacation and I will be back full, ready to go all the way through March Madness. So listen, guys, health and happiness to you guys. I love being on here every Friday with you guys. And we'll talk next week.
Well, there we go. Art, how about coming now that you're back? Why don't you come on the show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as well?
Prez, that would be a dream, wouldn't it? I know.
Well, for you and Teddy. I'm kidding, dude. It would be my dream to do a daily show with the world famous, most awesomest Art DiCesare. Happy New Year, brother. Kick ass. We'll see you next Friday. Teddy covers. We've got a daily presidential address still to come, but man, this is our last show of the year. It has been a fun year. The highlight of the year for me was without question 30 days of skiing in Whistler and not being on the show for most of them. I do not have that going again this season, but I do have 2 ski trips that I've organized. So I'm excited about that. I do want to wish.
This is the question, Lawrence. Do you have a daily presidential address? No one wants to hear about your ski plan, your ski trips. If you have one, do it.
No,
it's time, brother.
I'm going to tell them about my ski trip. So where are we going? Okay, fine. Daniel, annoying Teddy is one of the greatest joys of my life. It's right above annoying my mother. Anyway, let's go. Cue up the daily presidential address.
Above annoying your mother? Wow.
Yeah, dude. Like,
better
so
than.
it's in order. Bothering you is my number 1 favorite thing in the world. Bothering my mother is my second most favorite thing in the world. And then bothering the guy you know, Brian, is the third most favorite joy of my life. So yes, you are number 1. Anyway, don't interrupt the daily presidential address. Let's go. Shout out to all you guys who've been watching WagerTalk Today and the daily presidential address. I've got a bunch of bets to give out on this segment. Before we get into that, I want to wish you all a wonderful, happy New Year. Don't do anything stupid. Hang out with your loved ones, drink, do edibles, do whatever you want. Just make sure to make it to 2024. It's going to be an outstanding year, especially coming off of 2023. Okay, so I got to tell you guys, I got 2 5% plays going before you will see me next. I have a 5% play in NFL on Sunday. It's a massive play. Do not miss it. And on Monday is my one and only 5% play in college football bowl season. And it is in one of the 2 big games. So check that out. Instead of buying them individually, buy a 3-day all access, please. Much appreciated. Okay, so NFL. I like Seattle minus the 3.5. I also like the over in the Philadelphia Eagles game. Those are the 2 NFL bets that I will be making. Seattle over in Philly. As for your NHL, here's 3 bets that I am making. Detroit on the money line minus 115. Seattle on the money line minus 128. And Art DiCesare did mention already the Florida Panthers minus 138 on the money line against the New York Rangers. That's it for the show. That's it for 2023. Teddy covers. Take us home.
Sure. Thanks for watching. We appreciate all the likes, all the follows, and we'll see you next year. Enjoy the games. Good luck all weekend.